The assisted living home you want to live in. Now, when you hear that title, you're probably going to say to me, hey, Tom, there cannot be an assisted living home that I actually want to live in. But the reality is this: aging population, we all aging. There is a very good likelihood that towards more the end of our lives than the beginning, that we might no longer be able to simply care for ourselves, and we're going to need help. And historically, people had looked at nursing homes as that as an option. I know that's not something that people want to do. So today we're actually going to discuss, though, the assisted living home that you actually would want to live in. And kind of the impetus for today's discussion is a book, an awesome book that I suggest you read called Being Mortal. And the full caption is Being Mortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End. It's written by a surgeon, Atul Gawande. It's been named a best book of the year by the Washington Post, the New York Times Book Review, NPR, and the Chicago Tribune. And it's a wonderful book, and in the book, Dr. Gawande gives a historical perspective, if you will, on nursing homes and assisted living and how they were developed. Also talks, though, about the realities of aging and death, and the fact that oftentimes what medicine wants to do or can do is counter to what it should, or perhaps what we want. And as a result of this, if you will, dynamic that's involved in the medical world, he discusses how nursing homes were devoted and developed for safety purposes, and that safety purpose might be contrary, for example, over the food that the residents are allowed to eat and the choices that they are allowed to make. Nursing homes oftentimes have a hospital model to them where they're going to provide you the food when they want to provide you the food. They're going to limit your choices because it's better for them in managing you while you happen to be there. And in part, that same concept has moved on into what is a number of different facilities that are titled assisted living, but might not actually be assisted living that we're thinking about. So, the assisted living home that you want to live. But I invite you to read the book, because not only is it going to talk about the topic that we're talking about today, but it also goes into the whole questions about making decisions for yourself in illness and later life, things that you need to think about. My 88-year-old dad now, he celebrated his birthday. I provided him a copy of the book because we're beginning to have those conversations about what might happen down the road, because unfortunately my father, as many other people, is suffering from prostate cancer. Fortunately, we seem to have it under control, but decisions likely will have to be made, even just because of the aging process, if and when he gets to the point that he's not going to be able to live on his own. One, there is a movement which is called the Village Movement. And it began with a village, if you will. It's the Beacon Hill Village that's located in Boston. It had its first members in 2002 and now has nearly 400 members, according to their website. And as they describe it on their website, it is a member-driven organization for Boston residents 50 and over that provides programs and services so members can lead vibrant, active, and healthy lives while, and this is the important part, living in their own homes and neighborhood. A couple more things from their website. We are a community of people in central Boston who prosper from directing our lives and creating our future. We wanted to be active, taking care of ourselves and each other rather than being taken care of. We, the members, decide what we need and want. We have an expert staff, a great variety of service providers, enthusiastic volunteers, and strategic partners, but we govern the village, design its offerings, and make it happen. The concept of the village is a member organization, nonprofit, and the whole focus of that organization is how and what can we do to keep our members living in their own homes and neighborhoods. You start with assisted living, then in your own home. Most clients will tell me, that's where I want to be. I don't want to go to another facility. So here's a movement, the Village Movement, whose sole focus is to keep you in your own home. Now, what's happened after Beacon Hill Village and other people look at it, it is actually now grown to be a nationwide movement. There's now an organization. It's called the Village to Village Network. That organization is really there to help individuals start a village in their community, give support to their efforts into creating that village, as well as it, at its website, does provide a list of villages that already exist. So you can go to their website, and that website would be vtvnetwork.org. That's vtvnetwork.org. And at that website, you'll find a list of all of the villages throughout the United States. According to their website, there are over 200 open villages and more than 150 in development in 45 states and the District of Columbia. And as they describe on their website, a village is committed to helping their members age in place of their choosing, closely connected to their communities, and with the support tools they need to create successful aging of their own design. If you find that you would be interested in staying in your own home rather than going to another location, I encourage you to take a look at the Village Movement, see if there happens to be a village in your community, and if there is, find out more information about them and what it would take to join that organization. If there is not, find out what it takes to create a village. And maybe you don't need assisted living now, but you are looking at the possibility of you or family members or friends needed assisted living at some time in the future. I would still encourage you, take a look at what's available now. And if nothing is available in your community, take a look at the Village to Village Network and their information to see what it would take to perhaps create a village in your community. Option number one, the assisted living home you would want to live in would be in your very home. But let's say that you're not able to live in your home. You might have a condition that really is more serious than that, or maybe there's not a home in your community, or maybe you need to move out of your home for other reason. There's another movement, if you will, out there, and it's called the Greenhouse Movement. The Greenhouse Movement. The Greenhouse Movement is, if you will, a movement to create, and as they describe on a Wikipedia, caring homes for meaningful lives. That means caring homes for meaningful lives for elders, where residents are going to have private rooms and baths. They can move freely through the home, build knowing relationships with each other more, even participate in their own bills. It's based upon a philosophy of seeking to reverse what they describe as the enforced dependency of life in traditional nursing homes by creating small communities, say 7 to 10 elders, designed to foster late life development and growth. The idea is this: the traditional nursing home, and let me give you this example, if you will. My mother-in-law, Ginny, 92 years of age, recently got to the point, because she was falling and had injured herself significantly, that the decision was made that she could no longer live on her own. It was too risky for do that. So after a lot of searching, the family came up with an assisted living home and moved Ginny in there, which she immediately hated being there. That home was more what the traditional assisted living home might be. You walk in the front door, there's a nurse's station. Breakfast, let's say, is from 8 to 9. And if you don't go to breakfast from 8 to 9, you don't get breakfast. Lunch might be an hour. If you don't make it there during lunchtime, you don't get lunch. Hour for dinner. You don't make it there for dinner, you don't get dinner. Now, they did give you a menu the night before your meals where you could indicate what you want. But very much the concept behind that facility, and it was a great facility. It was clean, staff was friendly, but it was designed around what worked for the facility. It works for the facility to have everybody come have breakfast at the same time, because that's when our kitchen help will be there. It works for the facility to decide what you can do and what offerings we're going to provide to you, with you, the resident, having no input. More research was done, in part after some of the family members had in fact read the Being Mortal book, had looked into and discovered this whole idea of a greenhouse movement. And really what the core of the greenhouse movement is normally smaller facilities, but facilities are more like home, where the residents have input into what food they're going to have, what activities they're going to have, and it is more designed around what do the residents need and want, rather than what does the facility want. So let's contrast it. They moved Ginny's into one of these newer or different facilities, and this facility subscribes to this greenhouse concept. So when you walk in the front door of this facility, which is very nice, there is no nurse's station. When you walk into the front door, you are literally walking into what appears to be a very large living room. Couches, fireplace, comfortable seating. Now, off to the side, there's going to be a person there that if you have any questions, you can go ask her. But if you know where you're going, you just walk in the front door and you can go to your individual unit. In this case, Ginny has a studio apartment. It has a full kitchen, full-size refrigerator. She can have, if she wants to, a toaster, a microwave, etc., so she can have a kitchen in her room. She could literally go into her room and no one's going to bother her being there. Now let's look at the meal concept. The meal concept where she is now, the normal meal time is about 3 hours. So breakfast is a 3-hour time frame. Lunch is a 3-hour time frame. Dinner is a 3-hour time frame, which gives you a lot more time to come down. And you don't choose your meal the night before, because the night before you might not really know what you want. You go into the restaurant or the eating area, and you have a menu. These are the items that we have today. Pick your meal today. Now, if you don't feel like going into the eating area, or you don't make it, there is also a cafe. And the cafe is open from morning till night. And you can go in the cafe anytime and you can get soup, a sandwich, a salad, cereal. So you have options, just like you do in your own home. When am I hungry? I can find time to eat. As well as the facility itself is designed around this concept that you have a communal, if you will, living room, and then you have individual apartments that are private. You're not sharing those apartments with somebody else. Again, a totally different concept from what many nursing home or assisted living home projects are. It's called the Greenhouse Project. If that's something that is of interest to you, I would encourage you to look into that. Again, the Greenhouse Project, there is a website, thegreenhouseproject.org. And at that website, one of the things that you will find at the website is a map with a list of all of the different facilities that ascribe to the greenhouse concept. There are also a number of greenhouse homes that are now being created as part of this concept. And the greenhouse home itself is oftentimes a home with a, again, large living room that you walk into, a communal kitchen, a large dining room table where all the residents sit around the dining room table when they're eating. It's a much smaller facility, maybe 7 to 10 elders are living there, but each person has their own individual room, and then they use the shared other facilities. So there is not just the concept that's different, but there's an attempt now to create what they call greenhouse homes, which are much smaller facilities. That would be an assisted living home that you or your loved one would actually want to live in. If it's relevant to you, then take a look at it. If there's a greenhouse home or greenhouse concept behind a facility in your location, take a look at it. If there's not, if you're interested in creating one, again, the Greenhouse Project is going to be something that will help you. Tuesday with Tom has been brought to you by the estate planning attorneys at Doyle Law PC. To learn how we can help you with your estate plan or with settling a loved one's estate, please call us today at 517-323-7366. That's 517-323-7366.